They didn't just walk away from you, they couldn't. Something in you unsettled them, something bright, something holy, something eternal. You didn't do anything wrong, you were just being who you were made to be, chosen. And when you're chosen, your very presence exposes what others are trying to hide. You carry God's light, and whether you know it yet or not, light is offensive to darkness. It doesn't have to speak to be loud. It doesn't have to act to be powerful. It just has to shine, and that's what you've been doing all along. You've been shining even when you didn't know you were glowing. You've been carrying a light so divine, so heavy with heaven's purpose, that it made some people uncomfortable just to be near you. And that's why they turned away. That's why they mistreated you. That's why they rejected you. Not because of a flaw in you, but because of the fire in you. Chosen one, you were never meant to fit in. You were born to stand out. You were set apart from the very beginning. While others were chasing attention, you were fighting battles in silence. While others were searching for applause, you were being shaped in isolation. And while you cried alone, misunderstood and abandoned, heaven was watching, and God was writing a story the world has yet to see. They laughed at you, didn't they? Dismissed your pain, mocked your efforts, called you too sensitive, too much, too different. But here's what they didn't understand. They weren't rejecting you. They were rejecting the light in you that convicted the darkness in them. You were reflecting something too holy, too pure, too prophetic. You carried a mirror that made their masks slip. And when the mask slips, people panic. So they lash out, they leave, they lie. But none of that could ever touch your anointing. Some of you were rejected by family, friends, even people who once claimed to love you. They couldn't stand the fact that even in your lowest moments, there was something unshakable in you. It's not that you never broke. It's that every time you did, you healed stronger. That scared them. Because you weren't just surviving, you were transforming. And transformation terrifies the stagnant. You weren't supposed to be here, were you? According to them, you were supposed to stay broken. You were supposed to give up. You were supposed to let their words define you, their abandonment destroy you, their silence you. But you didn't. You kept going. You kept believing. Even when you didn't have the strength to pray, your soul still whispered, "God, I trust you." That is the kind of faith that shakes hell. You didn't choose this light. It chose you. Before you were formed in your mother's womb, heaven breathed destiny into your lungs. You were marked, sealed, and sent into this world with a mission that would not be easy, but would be glorious. That's why you never really fit in. That's why you always felt a little different, a little too deep, a little too aware. You saw things others ignored. You felt things they denied. You carried a burden that couldn't be explained. And still, you didn't quit. The enemy saw your light long before you understood it. He tried to dim it through rejection, depression, confusion, and distraction. He tried to convince you that your light was a curse, that your sensitivity was weakness, that your isolation was punishment. But now, chosen one, you are starting to see the truth. The rejection wasn't punishment, it was protection. The isolation wasn't exile, it was preparation. The pain wasn't a curse, it was a call to rise, a call to remember who you are, a call to awaken the fire that's been buried beneath years of silence and scars. Because now is the time. The world is shifting. Darkness is screaming louder than ever, but so is the light. And your light has matured in the hidden place. It's been tested in the fire. It's been purified in your tears. And it's about to emerge not just as a glow, but as a blazing force that will change everything it touches. You didn't survive all that for nothing. Every tear was a seed. Every heartbreak was a classroom. Every lonely night was a holy encounter. Heaven saw what they did to you. Heaven heard the words that broke you. Heaven caught the tears you couldn't explain. And heaven is not silent. No, God is a witness, and God is a defender. You thought you were forgotten. You thought maybe God had overlooked you. But God never overlooks His chosen. He hides them. He shields them. He sanctifies them. And then, when the time is right, He reveals them. Get ready, chosen one, because you're stepping into your revealing season. You're stepping into the moment where everything that tried to bury you will regret it. Everything that tried to stop you will be silenced, not because of vengeance, but because of vindication. There's a roar rising in your spirit right now. It's been there all along, hidden beneath the ashes of what you lost. But now the ashes are stirring. The wind of God is blowing. And like dry bones coming back to life, your destiny is rattling with resurrection power. You are not just recovering, you are rising. You are not just healing, you are becoming. You are not just chosen, you are called, commissioned, and crowned. Let them whisper, let them wonder, let them talk, because soon they won't be able to deny what God is doing in you. The light they tried to extinguish is turning into a flame that will light paths, break chains, and ignite nations. This is not hype. This is heaven. This is not a fairy tale. This is prophecy. And if your spirit is stirring right now, if you feel the trembling in your chest, the tears in your eyes, the fire in your belly, know this: you're not crazy. You're not weak. You're not alone. You're waking up. The attacks were not random. The rejection was not coincidental. Every arrow that came against you was aimed at the light you carry. But they missed one thing: you were never fighting alone. The hand of God has been on you from the beginning, and now it's your time to rise in that truth. Chosen one, it's time to walk boldly in what they tried to crush. It's time to lift your head, not in arrogance, but in awareness. You were rejected because you're radiant. You were misunderstood because you're multidimensional. You were overlooked because your crown was too bright for small minds to comprehend. But now, the season of hiding is over. The light you carry is about to lead you into rooms you never thought you'd enter. And when you arrive, you won't need to explain yourself. Your presence will speak louder than words. Your story will carry the weight of heaven. Your eyes will shine with the knowing of someone who's been in the fire and came out anointed. You didn't ask for this, but you were made for this. You didn't chase it, but you were chosen for it. And now the world will see what heaven already knew. You are the light. You are the vessel. You are the chosen one. There is something powerful about a soul that has been through the fire and still refuses to turn to bitterness. That's what you've become, a testimony of sacred endurance. They underestimated how deeply your spirit was anchored. They thought, if we just ignore them, if we shame them, if we isolate them, they'll eventually fade out. But instead, chosen one, you lit up from the inside. You caught fire, and now they don't know what to do with you. You've outgrown every box they tried to stuff you into, every role they expected you to play. Silent, broken, dependent doesn't fit you anymore, and that frightens them, because they know they can't manipulate what they can't define. You no longer walk around needing their approval because you've tasted something deeper, God's validation. You've been in the secret place. You've met the one who whispers destiny over your pain, and now their rejection doesn't sting the way it used to. Why? Because you've discovered your true identity in the one who formed you. Do you feel that shift? That holy defiance rising up in you? That's your soul reclaiming itself. That's your spirit saying, no more shrinking, no more apologizing for being too deep, too emotional, too intense, too spiritual. You were never too much, you were just too divine for the shallow. And now you're stepping out of survival mode and into sovereignty. You see, chosen one, every time you were rejected, heaven was writing a reversal. You don't just carry a light, you carry prophetic fire. That's why people tried to extinguish you. Not because they hated you, but because they feared what you'd become if you ever realized who you were. They feared the day you'd step into your full power. They feared the day your silence would turn into a roar. And that day is now. Some of you are feeling it already. The dreams returning, the energy shifting, the old cycles falling apart. That's not coincidence, that's alignment. The divine clock is striking a new hour. You're not going back to who you were before they hurt you. You're evolving into who you were always meant to be. And the chains, they're falling off with every step you take in truth. They mocked your faith, didn't they? Rolled their eyes when you talked about God, laughed at your prayers. They saw your devotion as weakness, but they didn't understand that your relationship with God was your secret weapon. It was in those moments when you were crying out that angels were being dispatched. When they thought you were breaking down, you were actually being rebuilt by heaven itself. That's how you made it. That's how you're still standing, not by their kindness, but by divine grace. And now every demon that tried to claim you is being put to shame. Every generational curse is breaking because you chose to stand in the gap. You chose to heal instead of harm. You chose to pray instead of retaliate. You chose to protect your heart instead of harden it. That kind of spiritual strength cannot be faked. It's forged, and yours has been forged in divine fire. Chosen one, the wilderness is ending. The silence is lifting. The veil is tearing. You're not just being restored, you're being revealed. And the world is about to witness what happens when a soul refuses to bow to darkness. Your life will become a message, not one written in words, but in wounds healed, in chains broken, in hope resurrected. This is why they're trembling now, because they feel the shift. The ones who once mocked your journey are now watching in silence. They can't explain your endurance. They can't comprehend your glow. They don't understand how someone who was so rejected can walk with so much authority. But we do. We understand, because the light you carry was not given by men, it was imparted by God. And what God gives, no man can take away. Let them look confused. Let them whisper. Let them watch. Your rise is not for their comfort. It's for heaven's glory. And while they tried to write your ending, God was still busy writing your beginning. You haven't even started yet, chosen one. You've just been in the chrysalis, hidden, forming, shifting, becoming, and now you're about to emerge with wings they never saw coming. So hold your head high, not in pride, but in power. The battles you've faced have made you dangerous to darkness. You carry something now that cannot be faked. A spiritual gravity, a depth, a weight. People can sense it even if they can't explain it. They feel the presence of God when you walk into the room, and they don't know why they suddenly feel convicted. That's your light. That's your mantle. That's your oil. This isn't the end of your story. It's the unveiling of your glory. And to those who still wonder, who still whisper, who still mock, let them, because the same mouths that cursed you will soon speak your name in reverence. The same eyes that overlooked you will be astonished. Not because you proved anything, but because God is about to prove himself through you. This is divine justice. This is holy recompense. This is the roar of the chosen shaking the earth. So rise, child of light. Stand tall, warrior of heaven. Shine, vessel of glory. The rejection was real, but the rise is greater, and it's only just begun. Chosen one, listen carefully, because what's coming next isn't just personal, it's prophetic. You have reached the part of your journey where divine justice begins to move publicly, where what was once concealed in private pain is about to be displayed through public favor. God is not only your comforter in secret, he is your vindicator in the open. He is the one who saw it all, and now he's ready to reveal it all. You've spent years being silent, taking the high road, letting the lies fall without correcting them. You let people think what they wanted. You didn't fight back when they twisted the truth, when they made you look like the villain in their story. You chose peace over pride. You kept your hands clean, and while it looked like they got away with what they did to you, God was watching. And now he's rising as your defender. This is the moment when tables begin to turn, the great reversal. It always comes. Heaven is never mocked. Those who sow in deceit eventually reap exposure, and those who sow in tears, they reap joy. That's the promise. That's the justice of God. He doesn't forget. He doesn't overlook. He doesn't abandon his chosen ones to shame. He stores every tear, records every injustice, and when the appointed time comes, he moves. And chosen one, the time is coming. This isn't about revenge. It's about restoration. You're not rising to humiliate anyone. You're rising because heaven decreed it. And no man can stop a decree spoken by the mouth of God. There are things that were stolen from you, opportunities, relationships, respect. But God is a God of restitution. And when he restores, he doesn't just give back what was lost, he multiplies it. You're not going to look like what you've been through. You're going to look better, stronger, glorious. They laughed when you fell, but they're about to see you rise. Not just emotionally, not just spiritually, but visibly. People are going to see you walk through doors they swore would stay shut to you. They're going to hear your name in places they never thought you'd be mentioned. You're going to sit at tables that were built without you in mind, but now they can't function without your presence. Because God is putting your name in the mouths of those with influence. Not because you chased it, but because your heart was right. You didn't manipulate, you didn't scheme, you just stayed faithful. And that is what heaven honors. Your story is about to shift from suffering to significance, from pain to platform, not for your ego, but for the kingdom. Because your testimony has weight now, it has depth. People are going to be drawn to your story, not because of your perfection, but because of your redemption. They'll look at your scars and see healing. They'll hear your words and feel hope. That's what God does with a chosen one. He turns their life into a living prophecy. And let me say this, the ones who once rejected you, they're going to need what you carry. That's the irony. That's the divine plot twist. The ones who mocked your light will come seeking its warmth. And you'll have a choice, not of vengeance, but of grace. And because your heart is pure, you'll extend mercy. You'll bless those who cursed you. And that chosen one is the greatest victory of all. Don't let bitterness rob you of your inheritance. Don't let old wounds delay your new beginning. You've already won, not because they lost, but because you never stopped loving. That's the proof you carry heaven's DNA. That's the proof that the Spirit of God dwells within you. And that's what makes your light undeniable. Now is the time to prepare your heart, because what's coming will happen fast. One day you'll feel like nothing is moving, and the next, doors flying open. Sudden favor, divine connections, answers to prayers you forgot you prayed. That's how God moves. He's slow to build, but quick to reveal. And when the appointed time hits, nothing and no one can block what he's ordained. You'll feel it in your spirit before it arrives in the natural. That inner fire will burn brighter. That sense of anticipation will become a roar. And even though your mind will try to doubt it, your soul will know it's time. But hear me, when the light comes, don't shrink. You've been hidden for so long that visibility might feel foreign. You've gotten used to being behind the scenes, but God is calling you to the front. You're not being exalted for vanity. You're being positioned for purpose. Your rise has nothing to do with fame and everything to do with function. The world needs your voice, your healing, your wisdom, and God is lifting you so others can be lifted through you. This is your crowning moment, not because you chased it, but because you were faithful when it felt like no one saw you, when you prayed with no applause, when you gave with no thank you, when you showed up again and again, even when you felt empty. God saw it all, and now he's answering. So rise, chosen one, not in fear, but in faith. Walk like the doors are already open. Speak like your voice carries heaven's weight. Live like your light is meant to illuminate nations, because it is. You are, and it's time. If this is resonating with your spirit, don't stay silent. This is a divine call to stand in your identity. Comment below, I carry God's light. Declare it, claim it, share it, because something powerful happens when the chosen ones recognize each other. We rise together. Don't wait for permission. Heaven already gave it. Don't wait for approval. You were already appointed. And don't fear the spotlight. It's not about you, it's about the light within you. That light is about to break generational curses. That light is about to ignite dormant dreams. That light is about to restore what was stolen. And you, yes, you are the vessel carrying it. You thought you were disqualified, but you were actually being qualified. You thought you were delayed, but you were being developed. You thought you were abandoned, but you were simply being hidden for a divine unveiling. Now go, not as who you were, but as who you really are. The chosen one, the carrier of light, the one God himself is about to reveal. Chosen one, have you ever stopped and asked yourself, why? Why did they target you? Why did it seem like even the people you were kind to turned cold? Why did your presence stir conflict where there was no cause? Why were you the one people projected their insecurities onto, the one who was always too much or too different? You see, this wasn't just a matter of personality or timing. This wasn't about something you did. It was about something you carried. From the very beginning, there was a tension in the air around you. Even as a child, you noticed things others didn't. You felt deeply. You saw behind people's words. You sensed motives that were never spoken. You carried spiritual weight, and that made you an anomaly in a world addicted to appearances. It's not that you were trying to be different, you simply were. And that, right there, is where the misunderstanding began. You carry a light so piercing that it reveals not just what's around you, but what's within others. People may smile in your presence, but their spirit is unsettled. Not because of anything malicious in you, but because you bring to the surface what they've buried. You expose the gap between who they pretend to be and who they truly are. That's what light does. It doesn't have to accuse, it simply illuminates. And for many, illumination feels like threat. This is the paradox. People are drawn to your light and repelled by it at the same time. They admire your strength, your insight, your compassion, but they resent what it reveals about their own lack. And instead of choosing to grow, many choose to attack. Because attacking feels easier than admitting that your presence has exposed their need for healing. It's not about you, it's about their reflection in your light. You are like a divine mirror, and mirrors make people uncomfortable when they're not ready to see themselves clearly. And so they rejected you. They labeled you strange, dramatic, unstable, overly emotional, because they couldn't categorize you. You didn't follow the script. You didn't fit in their boxes. You were awake in a world that's sleeping, and you felt in a world that's numb. And those who are still asleep will always resent the ones who stir them. Chosen one, what you went through wasn't just emotional. It was deeply spiritual. You were born into a war you didn't ask for, a war between light and darkness. And because you carry a high calling, the resistance in your life has also been high. Not because you're cursed, but because you're called. And the more you awaken to that truth, the more the pieces begin to fall into place. It wasn't personal, it was positional. You were rejected not because you were unworthy, but because you were destined. Think about it. What is the common pattern among those who tried to harm you? Control, manipulation, jealousy, pride. Every spirit that came against you was intimidated by what you couldn't even fully see in yourself. But the enemy saw it. The spiritual realm knew who you were, even when you didn't. And that's why the warfare was so intense. The devil didn't wait until you were established. He tried to break you early, to convince you that your sensitivity was a flaw, that your empathy was a weakness, that your calling was a fantasy. But what he didn't know was that every blow was actually forging a stronger version of you. Every rejection became redirection. Every wound became a window into your authority. You're not broken. You're battle-tested. And you're not crazy. You're called. You're not fragile. You're formidable. But let's go even deeper. There's a universal law written in the fabric of the spiritual world. What is high must start low. What is crowned must first be crushed. The greater the assignment, the deeper the preparation. And you, chosen one, have been prepared in a way that most can't understand. You were called to carry something rare, something holy, something powerful, And God could not allow that to be contaminated by ego, approval addiction, or surface-level identity. So he allowed the rejection. He allowed the stripping. He allowed the silence. Not because he didn't love you, but because he chose you. He set you apart to set you above. Not above others, but above the limitations, distractions, and illusions of the world. Chosen ones must go through divine contradiction. You lose before you win. You're hated before you're honored. You're isolated before you're ignited. Why? Because God doesn't elevate people who need approval. He elevates people who are anchored in truth, who are rooted in Him. And that's what the journey was about, unrooting everything false from your identity. So only the truth remained. And the truth is this: you were never what they said you were. You were never too sensitive. You were spiritually tuned. You were never unstable. You were carrying frequencies most people can't process. You weren't too emotional. You were aligned with heaven's heartbeat. The problem wasn't you. The problem was that you were in environments that could not hold what you carried. That's why the room got tense when you spoke. That's why people withdrew from you after you shared your heart. That's why they misunderstood your silence, your presence, your calling. They weren't rejecting the you they saw. They were reacting to the God they sensed. You were triggering unhealed wounds, subconscious insecurities, and hidden shame, not by anything you did, but simply by being. That is the cost of light. But hear this, it's also the power of light. Because now you understand. You understand that the battle wasn't about worth, it was about warfare. You understand that your rejection was the enemy's strategy to distract you from your revelation. You understand that everything they took from you can and will be restored in God's time and with divine increase. And now, chosen one, you are stepping into the clarity of your mission. You were sent to break chains, not just your own, but those around you. You were sent to awaken others, to speak what others fear to say, to feel what others numb, to lead where others follow. You are not the echo, you are the voice. And you must never again question why you were set apart. Because what you carry is sacred. You are not here to fit in, you are here to shift atmospheres, to disturb the comfortable, to heal the broken, to awaken the sleeping, to reflect heaven in places gripped by hell. And that light, that burden, that mission, it will never be understood by the masses, but it will reach the ones it's meant to reach. So walk with boldness, not arrogance, but divine awareness. You know now, you see now, you are now the chosen one. Chosen one. You've heard the voice of God in places where others only heard silence. You've wept in rooms no one knew you were breaking in. You've smiled when your soul was barely breathing. And yet, you are still here, not because life was kind, not because people were faithful, but because God has held you in the palm of His hand from the very beginning. The world looked at you and saw weakness, but heaven looked and saw a warrior, a vessel, a fire starter. And now the time of hiding has ended. The cocoon has served its purpose. You have been made in the dark, shaped in the struggle, forged in the fire. And now it is time to rise in the light you carry. You are not who they said you were. You never were. The pain didn't define you, it refined you. The rejection didn't destroy you, it redirected you. The betrayal didn't bury you, it birthed you. They tried to write your ending without realizing God was still crafting your beginning. They judged your process without seeing your promise. But you are the promise. You are the proof that light wins. You are the evidence that God takes what is broken and makes it holy. You are the sign that chosen ones do not die in the wilderness. They emerge with glory. So hear this now. Let it settle into your soul like oil upon your head. You are crowned. Crowned with wisdom, crowned with spiritual power, crowned with unshakable identity. Your story is not one of survival. It is a story of divine revelation, the kind the world needs right now. You've been carrying your light quietly. But now God is saying, let it shine. No more shrinking, no more explaining, No more negotiating your worth with people who cannot see the divine signature stamped on your spirit. You are not here to dim yourself. You are here to set others on fire with truth. And yes, there will be people who still misunderstand, people who still walk away, but let them. You are no longer called to hold on to those who cannot hold the weight of your calling. You are being released from relationships that only survived because you kept shrinking. And as you grow, the old must fall away. It's not loss, it's alignment. You are being aligned with purpose, with people who speak your language, with places that recognize your light without fear. People who don't compete with you, but cover you. Places that don't exhaust you, but expand you. Opportunities that don't drain you, but draw out your deepest fire. This is the shift. This is the great unveiling. This is the divine exchange. Ashes for beauty, mourning for joy, sorrow for strategy. Everything is about to make sense. You won't have to force it. You won't have to chase it. You won't have to beg for it. What is yours by divine right is already on its way, not because you earned it, but because you endured for it. You trusted God in the silence. You praised Him in the pit, and now He's lifting you with His own hand. But don't forget, this is not about your glory, it's about His. Let your life be the altar. Let your light be the offering. Let your words be the fire that calls the lost back to their Creator. Because, chosen one, you are not just being lifted for yourself. You are being lifted for others. There are people who will only find the courage to stand because they saw you rise. There are souls tied to your obedience. Generations will shift because you said yes to the process. Because you stayed when it was lonely. Because you worshiped when it hurt. Because you carried light in the darkest places and never let it go out. That is the call. That is the weight. That is the beauty. And so, as you go forward, go with reverence. You don't have to roar to be powerful. Your light speaks for you. Your peace confuses the enemy. Your presence unsettles darkness. Walk with that knowing. You are not like the rest. You never were. You were set apart, not to be arrogant, but to be aware. Aware that heaven backs you. Aware that you're protected by forces unseen. Aware that you're surrounded by divine strategies and angelic assistance. And if you ever forget, just remember this. The ones who left, God removed them. The doors that shut, God sealed them. The isolation, God orchestrated it. And the fire, God used it, not to burn you, but to bless you. You are stepping into a season of divine return, of multiplied restoration, of promises fulfilled. And as you stand in that light, don't forget to reach back. Don't forget to call out to the others who are still in their silence, still in their fire, still questioning if they're crazy for being so different. Let your life say to them, no, you're not crazy, you're chosen. And to those watching now, if something inside you is trembling, if your spirit is on fire, if you feel tears rising for reasons you can't even name, it's because you know this is your word. You know this is your confirmation. You know this is your awakening. So claim it. Declare it right now. I am the light. I am chosen. I am ready. Drop that in the comments. Speak it aloud. Share it with someone else who needs this truth. Because when chosen ones speak, heaven moves. And as you walk into your new, remember this. You are not walking alone. The Spirit of God goes before you. Angels are assigned to you. And your light will never go out. Not in this life, not in the next. So shine, chosen one. Shine with the fire that made them nervous. Shine with the truth that set you free. Shine with the knowing that no rejection could ever take away your divine inheritance. The time has come. You are no longer hidden. You are no longer misunderstood. You are no longer abandoned. You are revealed. You are rising. You are the chosen one. Until we meet again, keep shining, keep walking, and never forget, God did not bring you this far to leave you. He brought you this far to light up the world. Amen. Bottom of form.